This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Good morning, everybody, and welcome to Sunrise Safari, the start of a new week. It is a new week, isn't it, Morgan? Yes, it's Monday today, so good start to the day. A beautiful sunrise that's coming up. It's a little chilly with a cool breeze that's blowing, but I think it'll warm up pretty fast today. Apparently, it's supposed to be nice and warm. Anyway, my name is Tristan. On camera, I have got Morgan. I'm glad to see you can do a thumbs up. We're getting somewhere, people. Anyway, a warm welcome to all of you. Remember that we are coming to you live from various parts of South Africa, and so we would love to hear from all of you. You can use the hashtag WildEarth at FC on the YouTube chat stream, as well as any of the comments boxes on the various platforms that you watch on. As then for kiddies, we'd love to hear from you, although you're probably going to be at school this morning. You can send your questions through to kidsquestions at WildEarth.tv. A bit early for school, isn't it, Morgan? I think kiddies are probably having their cereal at this time of the day. Are you a cereal kid?
Yeah, I'm not awake at this time.
You're generally not. That's not surprising. Anyway, I don't know how we've actually gotten you onto the vehicle this morning, but we managed somehow. All right, that is the sunrise. That is the back of my head, and we are going to carry on. And we're going to try and see what we can find this morning. I am checking the northwestern corner of Djuma. We're just trying to see if we can find anything up this side. Tessa's going to be going straight down the center on Twin Dams Road, and she's going to be heading east from there, probably going to go check around Chitwa, maybe Torchwood, somewhere that side. I think she's looking for a leopard this morning, and well, we always know what I'm looking for. It's pretty simple. I don't have to really tell you all. Those of you that know me, at least. If you don't know me, then I'll be looking for a leopard too. So we're going to go check here. Let's see if there's any sign of tortoise pan, Shadulu, Kara. You know, Shadulu and Malcolm Sava yesterday were having a little thing over at Kills, so you never know, maybe one of them has decided to leave and come this side, and it would be nice to see Malcolm Sava. And I know James Richard, you would be excited to see her. It's your second favorite female behind Tandi, so maybe she'll make an appearance one day on Djuma. Maybe it's today. Anyway, I'm going to head off further. I was saying to you that there's a cool breeze blowing and the sun is up, so let's send you across to the weather for our various locations this morning and see what is in store for us.
At 15 degrees is chilly. It's relative, I suppose, but here in the Lowveld, that's a chilly temperature. And you can see this Wahlberg's eagle is sitting on the very top of the tree, trying to capture as much of the sun as it can after what was probably a very chilly night. We call this Wahlberg's eagle Mark, because it's been our faithful friend since he arrived back about 2 weeks ago in a lovely knobthorn tree very close to our HQ. Hi everyone, my name's Mike Anderson. Behind the camera is BK, and this is Eco Training's Pride Lands Conservancy, where we are hoping for all sorts of action today. I mean, it's nice and cool. It's been a cool night. It's very still and calm. It's the perfect day for animals to be coming out into the open to warm up with a beautiful sunrise, which I don't know if we're going to be able to see it. It's through the trees there, but wow, if you can see that, it is absolutely gorgeous. Absolutely gorgeous. And as that sun rides higher and higher in the sky, it's going to get quite warm today. I think probably the low 30s for us today. Right now, about 59 degrees Fahrenheit. Later this evening, it'll probably be, or this afternoon, it'll probably be around about, I don't know, 80, 90 at its most. It'll be quite a lot. But let's hope that we can find on a still morning like this, when it's nice and cool, somewhere over yonder, some alarm calls. Maybe we'll find some tracks and signs of this lioness we were trying to find yesterday. perhaps a leopard has been moving along those rocky ridges up there. It would be the perfect place for a leopard to be searching for its prey, I guess, this morning. And who knows what else might be happening. But I think we're going to have a good day nonetheless. Whatever does happen, it'll be a fantastic morning. So I don't know if you can see over there, BK. See there's a bunch of nests on the top of that tree over there? So everyone, that is where Mark was nesting last year. But for whatever reason, it decided that that nest was not good enough this year, and it started to make a new one. Oh, Susan is in the nest. The other Wahlbergs, I don't know. We called them Mark and Susan. So she's just in the nest right now. You can actually just see her. She's just brought a stick. I don't know how easy it will be to see. And I don't know if that's the male or female, to be honest. The females are usually slightly larger. But we'll keep you updated on Mark and Susan's renovations. But in the meantime, we'll send you over to Phinda.
Good morning and welcome to Djuma Private Game Reserve. I'm amazed that they called that Wahlberg's Eagle Mark. That's actually really cool. I'm actually coming down towards Twin Dams. I'm looking for leopard tracks. So my name is Tessa. I'm going to be your guide on safari this morning. Behind the camera we have Mpho, and we are really hoping to find you some cats this morning. But the first thing I want to do is actually check the dam wall. So there was one set of leopard tracks coming down the road this way, so I want to check here at the dam. And we'll see if there is anything around other than an Egyptian goose, which is flying off. Right, so it is quite a peaceful morning so far. It is still really nice and early, which is great. It means that that leopard might still be moving around. The tracks looked incredibly fresh. They were through the little drainage line that comes towards this dam. And there were no other tracks on top of them, no bird tracks, no other tracks from during the night. And it looked like a female leopard. So I'm hoping that she's actually still around moving and she might have just come down to the dam to drink. Alright, so I'm going to spend a few more minutes here just listening out, having a look for tracks on the dam wall and around the edges. But in the meantime, I'll send you over to Tristan, who has already gotten lucky with a cat.
We have. We've had a lot of luck with Tortoise Pan. I don't know why. We keep finding him. Like, I come up into this area, I was like, maybe Tortoise Pan will be around. And then Morgan's like, there's a leopard at the bottom of the tree. And it was Tortoise Pan. So he's just crossing into Djuma now. Well, he's already crossed in, but he's heading deeper into Djuma. So we'll try and see where he goes. He's probably going to scent mark along this road for a little bit. This has been his loop of late. He comes in here, and then he scent marks down via tele access. And then he cuts sort of back around the power lines. He starts heading back towards Arathusa. So we'll see how long we have him for, but nice to see the boy. He's got a bit of a floppy ear this morning, so I don't know if he's been fighting with somebody else. Sometimes you find when these leopards fight with one another, their ear gets a little floppy and it sort of hangs down. You can see that right ear is not as perky as it normally is. Lots of scent marking as well, so I don't know if maybe he came into contact with Mulawati last night or what's going on, but he's definitely got his right ear is a little on the floppy side. There's a very big pile of elephant dung. Anyway, nice to see him. He's got such a thin little tail, does Tortoise Pan. It kind of looks small for his body, doesn't it? Doesn't have a big fluffy tail like some of the other leopards. But let's catch up with him. Let's see where he's going to go. He's in the others when you're following him, otherwise he gets a bit like jumpy. He wants to get off the road and, go and do his own thing. You can see already he's looking back at us, so I don't want to follow him too closely, but really nice to see him walking down the Djuma roads. So Linda Purley say, what a way to start the week. Aren't you excited, Morgan, for that pole? That's like slap bang in the middle of your frame.
That pole really made my day.
That pole made your day. But yeah, Linda, great start to the week. Not so great for the Morgan with that pole, but there we go, Morgan. Nice and clear now. It was a very, very good start to the week. It's the perfect start, I would say, personally. I'm hoping that we'll get a nice long sighting of him this morning and that he's not going to cut back to Arathusa like he's been doing pretty much every time we found him of late. Hopefully he's just going to cruise around Djuma for the morning and we'll get to spend a fair amount of time with him. But it's nice to see he's actually pretty chilled today. He's not worrying about us too much. He's kind of just ambling down the road, scent marking here and there, which is very typical leopard behavior. And I have no idea what it is about this particular section that the male leopards absolutely love it. If we go back years, Mfufunyan, Jordan, Mvula, Tingana, Hukamuri, now Tortoise Pan, this is like the exact routes that they're walking is the same. All of them had this little route that they walked along this area. They all scent marked this section. They all drank from this pan on the right hand side that's dry at the moment. So they kind of enjoy this, and maybe it's just because of the choke point that the gate is, that they can't really turn beyond that. I don't know, maybe that's what it's all about. I wonder if he'll saw for us this morning. Be nice if he does. Have we had him sawing on the show? I certainly haven't, but I don't know if maybe somebody else has had him sawing. Ruby, you're saying you're falling in love with the tortoise band male the more you see him. It's pretty much the way most leopards work. I don't know why. The more you spend time with a leopard, the more you tend to like them. It's hard not to fall in love with any leopard, really. They're all pretty cool. I'm still not sure about tortoise pan. I don't know where I place him yet in my list of male leopards. He's by far and away nowhere near the likes of Tamba and Hosana and Tingana and various others that I've seen, Mvula and, like I say, various others that I've seen. But the more we get to see him, maybe the more he'll grow on me. I like the way he looks. He's a stocky little leopard and he's got a cool kind of thick-set head and neck. He reminds me a lot of Hukamuri, funny enough, in terms of his build. Very similar kind of shape to him. So yeah, well, just time will tell, I guess, with him what's going to be or where he's going to fit in. But we definitely are seeing him a lot more these days. In the last, this week is, I think there's, how many sightings have we had, Morgan? 4. There's 4 now. Yeah, because Jonty had him when I was with Geese. Found him up at the top here. And then he's been on June, or we've had him with Nzutini. We had him kind of walking in and just settling at the power lines the other day, and then again today. So it's been 4 times in the space of a week, which is a lot. I mean, that's pretty constant for a male leopard, and it's actually making this area pretty productive for us. We just come up here and generally get lucky with male leopards. It's quite fun, actually. I quite like it. I'm going to keep up with him, see where he goes and see what he gets up to. Hopefully he'll just continue walking down the road.
Well done, Tristan. How exciting. So I'm actually driving along the cut line, looking if these tracks have come further south. And notice this little steenbuck in the fire break and some rollers calling in the background. So I just want to sit here and listen for a little bit. There's also an eagle calling, a Wahlberg's eagle. So what I'm listening for are any alarm calls or anything unusual other than the normal dawn chorus. I can actually see very far in the distance a batelier in a nest, but I don't know if we'll get it. And the batelier has also been calling. So this little male does look fairly relaxed. He is checking around him just to make sure of his surroundings, but he has carried on feeding, so I don't think he's too alarmed that there might be something here. It's still beautiful to be able to sit with him, though. It's one of my favorite animals.
Just with Tortoise Pan now, I'm just trying to get in front of him so we can watch him walking towards us. So we're going to just go back a little bit and give it some space so that he can come strolling past. I think here should be good, Morgan. He should come past. I see, oh, look at that light on him. So cool. You can hear the impalas are now starting to snort at him. So... Sorry. Okay. Can hear the impalas in the background. Margie, he's one of the leopards that comes from an area where they name them based off the area that they spend time in. So Tortoise Pan is a pan on Londolozi, and so that's why they've called him that, is because of where he's come from and where he spent time as a young leopard. That was very cool. The fact that he stopped and scent marked the bush right next to us was pretty epic. Morgan, was that okay for you? By my head?
That was decent.
All right, good. I'm just so glad. Morgan's had a go at me this morning, everybody. He's telling me that I was saying to him, he asked me what time I get up in the mornings when I was a kid. So I said to him, oh, Morgan, I don't know. I don't think I would wake up early because I was a nightmare as a kid. And he's like, oh, that makes sense. I was like, Morgan, be nice. Nothing's changed, that's right. Similar sentiment, Morgan. It's not much better. Tortoise Pan is being an absolute treat for us today. He's just hanging out right on the road. So, I mean, us personally, we've only seen him mating with Inzutini on WildEarth's show. I'm going to do it this way for you, Morgan, so that this time my head won't be in the way. Let's see if is he going to chase those impalas? I don't think so. But we know that he's mated with Tiani. We know that he's mated with Shadulu. We know that he's mated with, I think he's mated with Markham Sava. I think he's obviously Inzutini. Who else am I missing here? Moya? Has he mated with Moya? Possible. He is just loving these guarri bushes this morning. Every guarri is getting scent marked, so this is a proper territorial patrol that he's doing at the moment. Don't cross there, come straight down the road. No, he's going to cross. Or is he? No, he's going to be good to us, guys. I think. Maybe not. Maybe it's time to go into the thickets. He likes to cut here and then he heads towards, like I say, towards the power lines. Malcolm, if their females are there, it just is a testament to how densely populated this area is with leopards at the moment. We have a very, very high density in this northern Sabi Sands currently. It's pretty crazy to see how many we have. He's taking every opportunity he can get. Some leopards, unfortunately, just don't have that opportunity. They don't have the ability to mate with as many females because there aren't that many females around. So if you go into like the Kalahari, for example, their territory sizes are so big that the males maybe come across 1 or 2 females in their life, whereas here, his options are 5, 6, 7, 8 different females, mates with all of them. He still could potentially mate with more. I mean, Kara, Kalamba, if he pushes more this side, opportunities are still there for him to mate with a number of other cats in the area. Sorry, I'm just also trying to get somebody into the sighting. So it's just not easy when Affinity, just so you know, is cut now off of where to access his mobile in the southwesterly direction. Your best bet now is to come on Impala Plains Road from Sandy Patch. I'll guide you in from there. Sorry guys, I know we generally try not to use the radio while we're talking to you guys, but alright, copy that. You should still see me from the road. If you're on where to access Sandy Patch Junction, you should be able to still see me. There's a hyena in front that's coming to investigate. The Impala's alarm calling. Always, when the Impala's alarm like this, hyenas are somewhere close by coming to investigate. You can actually see he's stopped to watch the hyena. I'll stop here so that we can see both of them. So, Melon Tortoisepan was born in 2016, so he is now just over 5 years old, coming into the prime of his life. Same age as Hosanna, so he's born in the same year as Hosanna and Tamba. It was Tortoisepan. Lots of cats of similar ages here at the moment. That's why we're going to have a pretty interesting couple years. It's going to be hard for any other leopards to start coming in here with Tortoisepan and Inhlangula, this male from Timbavati, Mulawati. None of them are particularly old cats. So the tenure of these leopards should be still for a while, unless obviously something bad happens. How cool is that, with the hyena and leopard just walking side by side, or walking towards one another? Very, very cool. Let's go forward a little bit. Just keep up with them. He's just stopped now. I'm just going to go forward slightly because I saw the hyena walk this way. I just want to see if they'll walk. Is that a cool shot? So we're going to have the two of them walking parallel. You see how he's not really perturbed by the hyena, and the hyena is not really worried about him. The reason the hyenas come in is because those impalas were shouting so much. He's thinking, oh, maybe there's a kill that's taken place and I can rob it from the hyena. So that's why it's come in. When it starts to see that it's a big male leopard and he's just walking and scent marking, you'll find the hyena will lose interest pretty quickly, and will just carry on with life. It's not going to worry too much about following him. It can see there's no food here at this stage. Hello, boy. Oof, this light on him every now and then is just spectacular. But you can see how quick leopards have got to be when they make kills. When there's this amount of shouting, they've got to get that food pretty quickly towards a tree. There's never a hyena too far away from where they are. This hyena's actually following him. Silly thing. At some point he'll turn around and start snarling at this hyena and be like, that's it, enough, away from me. Some big stumps in here. Got to just be a little bit careful. Whenever you're driving off-road and you see grass getting much longer than it was, just be careful because there's often a reason for it. Elephants, buffalo, rhinos, they all feed on grass, but where there's stumps, often the grass is much harder to feed on, so it's much longer. So just when you see that long grass, always kind of try to go a little bit slower. Hello, boy. So try get ahead of him, Morgan. He's going to pop out onto the road now. It's quite nice with that light. He's nicely backlit by the sun. He's getting upset with the hyena. He'll start grumbling at it just now. All right, so well, let's keep up with him. Let's see where he goes. Seems like he's changing direction again, back deeper into Djuma.
As WildEarth has shown, a guide is critical to your enjoyment when on safari. Safari Guide of the Year is an annual event which creates awareness for these men and women who dedicate their lives to tourism and wildlife. WildEarth fully supports this initiative that gives more credit to a profession that drives our economy and flies South African flags higher than most. In the lead up to our live award ceremony, where the Safari Guide of the Year 2021 will be crowned, we are inviting all our viewers to join us for a special fireside chat. Open to everyone, this unique event invites some of the top guides in the country to Djuma on the 26th of September, straight after the Sunset Safari.
Being nominated to the top 5 and finally being here, for me, it's an achievement. Tracks, I believe I did quite well, and the walk, and sometimes you often drag their feet forward. The storytelling as well, so yeah, I think that's where I see my strongest point. And then, that was the opportunity of the scribing. I say the bedding and the call, definitely, for me, it was quite a big challenge. Guiding is not all about the award that we have had, but sharing the experience and continue to do what we have passion and love.
Something very, very interesting. I didn't plan this, but this is a scene rarely seen. This is what we call a journey of giraffe. So beautiful.
Tune into WildEarth every single day. It's in your nature.
Welcome back. I'm actually sitting at Chitwa Dam, and I came down to check for the female leopard. Her tracks cut south, and I think she's actually gone south of the dam at the moment. But there's a lot of activity happening here with hippos, Egyptian geese, some swallows. So I thought it was worth just sitting here for a few minutes and seeing what happens. So the hippos, as usual, are sitting on their little island next to the fallen tree. And it is incredibly windy. You can see the ripples on the top of the water, so they're trying to stay as low into the water as possible this morning. You can see how the water's actually breaking around that hippo's head. Hear the lapping sound of the water. That's actually the water being pushed onto the bank here by the wind. And I must say I am slightly envious of these hippos this morning. They're definitely avoiding as much of the cold as they can. So this pod of hippos is actually quite big. There are a few more right at the top end of the dam. So they seem to be split into kind of 2 or 3 smaller pods throughout. But these ones seem to be very comfortable on their island. So it is actually the kind of day where, especially now earlier in the morning, these hippos might actually move up onto the banks to warm up when the sun gets a little bit higher. But for now, with the wind blowing so strongly and with it still being quite cool, it's probably about 12 degrees Celsius at the moment, maybe a little bit more, maybe 15. These hippos are still staying warm in the water. So I know there is a baby hippo somewhere in this dam. I haven't seen it yet this morning, but I'm hoping I get to meet it. Tanya, I agree, hippos are amazing to see. There's always something happening with the hippo, even if it's just them bobbing up to the top and blowing air out of their nostrils. Or that deep call that they make that sounds like a laugh. And you can see kind of flying across around them is a lot of swallows this morning. There's a lot of, I've seen some barn swallows around, some lesser striped swallows. And they seem to be skimming across the top of the water. There you can see one. They might be catching insects in flight that are just above the water, and every now and then they take a little dip into the water. And I'm actually quite surprised at how active the birds are in the strong wind. I've seen a lot of blacksmith lapwings. The Egyptian geese have been fighting in the background, so that's that noise that you could hear earlier. And it looks like they might be competing for a female. Waikisha hippos can hold their breath for between 5 and 6 minutes as an adult. So you'll see them pop up like that, and then often they just disappear, and you kind of want to hold your breath for them and wonder when on earth they're going to come up for another breath. But they can keep their heads completely under the water for 5 to 6 minutes on average. The babies would be a little bit less, so they would probably come up every 2 to 3 minutes initially, until they get bigger with some bigger lungs and they get used to blocking off their noses when they go underwater. I actually love the sound of hippos breathing as they come up. It's a very unusual sound. Not much else makes that sound. So I've been having a look out for the crocodile. I know there are 2 in this dam. I've met one but not the other, and I've been looking out for them this morning, but I can't find them. I think it's still a little bit cold for them. The sun isn't quite up yet, so they haven't come out onto the bank yet to sun themselves. There you can hear the Egyptian goose in the background. Let's have a listen. Panikin, what the hippos would do if the water dried up completely is they would have to try and find another water source. So they can walk many, many kilometers just to try and find another dam or river which has water in it. But because they're so fiercely territorial, it can actually be quite a problem. The females would be the first to leave with the babies because their basic instinct is do everything that you can to survive and keep your baby alive. And so what the females would do is they would leave first when the water starts getting a bit too low and they start feeling like they are not able to submerge enough. They'll move off and find another dam and either join another male at another dam that has water, or they would join a whole pod if they can. The male would be the last to leave because he's territorial. This is his dam. And so he knows if he leaves, there's a chance another male will come in, even if there isn't much water. If it's all starting to dry up, the hippos will be looking for a new place to go. And so he's often the last to leave. That's often where the sad stories come in of hippos getting stuck in the mud in their own mud wallows, when their own dams, when it's dried up so much that it's just some thick, muddy sludge. And then he would have to move as well. The problem for that is, as a male, moving to other dams that have water in them, if there's already a dominant male, they will fight for dominance over that dam. They'll fight for that territory. And that can often end up with very, very serious injuries for both hippos. They've got massive tusks. They can reach up to about 50 centimeters, so half a meter. And they will fight each other with those tusks. So if you ever see a hippo with a lot of scratches and cuts on it, it's most likely because he's been fighting with another male. The problem with this as well is if he does lose that fight, alright, so the problem with losing a fight is if you don't find water, he'll probably dehydrate. And that can be very dangerous. Hippos are very prone to dehydration. So in that case, he might actually die if he doesn't have water. So he'll have to keep moving till he finds another one. But while we keep watching these hippos, let's have a look at our new penguin show that is coming soon.
Well, from cute little penguins to spotted cats walking down the road. It's going to be interesting to see those penguins and what they get up to. I'm pretty sure Tortoise Pan would eat a penguin. You reckon you'd eat a penguin? No. Wasn't there a sighting somewhere of a leopard catching a penguin at Boulders? I'm not sure. I think there was. I think a leopard killed a penguin maybe last year or year before. I remember something about that. They came in and grabbed a penguin and was seen running around with it. Yeah, but I definitely think Tortoise Pan would be a penguin killer. He looks like the right size and shape and has the right demeanor. Sorry?
Penguin a day.
Penguin a day. Keeps the doctor away, Morgan. It's the way it's going to be for a little spotty cat. Everyone loves a little penguin breakfast. I suppose they would make a good snack. I mean, if they eat guinea fowl and franklins and those kinds of things, a penguin seems like a fair bet. Riley, each leopard is different. So some leopards will favor warthogs, some will favor impalas, some will favor duiker, some will favor little scrub hares. It really just depends on the leopard. Now, there's a car in the background, so I do apologize. We'll just try and keep it fairly kind of tight in the frame. Yes, it's your bush. He loves quarries, this cat. Always pushing his head in and pulling them down. I thought this was going to happen. You see power lines? Out again. He's going back towards Triple M now. This is his way that he goes. But it's nice now we're starting to figure out a pattern with him. And I expect that this kind of movement that we're seeing is slowly going to expand more and more and more, and we're going to start to see this guy getting deeper and deeper into Djuma, and it wouldn't surprise me at all if he's with a female that he gets dragged even towards the dam cam area around that section. It wouldn't shock me in the slightest. But he and this hyena are still having a game. The hyena was behind at one point, then the hyena was in front, now the hyena's back to the side again. So they're still trying to follow one another. Now where we're going is about to get pretty rough and ready, so we'll try our very best to stay with them. Let's see how we go. Dan, you think Marieps's prey mainly consists of reptiles? Talking about that. I mean, yeah, he at one point was very reptile heavy, but that's just a phase that they go through. Young male leopards they take anything they can get, and slow things like monitor lizards and the likes are actually pretty easy for them. So you find that they like to go after that stuff. But he's graduating. I mean, he's onto scrub hairs now, and I'm sure we're going to see him into all kinds of other things. Marips 100% would get into the penguins, Morgan, you're right. He would love a penguin as a little feast. So we're going to have to just bypass Tortoise Pan a little bit. And a lot of you might remember a sighting we had actually of Hukamuri in this tree with a kill. I don't know if you guys remember that, but we had him here. And that's why I know exactly where I need to go in order to cross this horrible little drainage line that we're about to go across. Sorry, Hyena, I know it seems like I'm chasing you, but I'm really not. So I just want to see where he goes. I lost him coming through, but this is the only points you can cross on is here. Wait, hold on. I just want to check he doesn't come over that mound. So I saw the guarri bush move just before the mound. You can just see a guarri being assaulted by a leopard. Look at it being tackled. Niago, you're asking if scent marking fluid only consists of urine? Well, it is urine. It's exactly what it is. But it also has a chemical in it that lions don't have, which is called 2AP, and that 2AP is the same chemical that occurs in popcorn kernels, which is why their urine smells that way. But yes, it is urine. It's exactly what they're after. I think he's left the guarri now. He's sufficiently assaulted it and has decided to leave it. Let's carry on going. Is he still there? Is he still? Oh, goodness. This poor guarri bush is being abused. Silly cat. He has a very vigorous way of marking territory. I haven't seen a lot of leopards do it as much as he does. Like, the odd leopard will kind of go and grab the tree and rub and move on. But with him, it's like every single guarri bush has to be assaulted and has to be abused. I think he's actually moved a little bit. You still see him. So 50, I mean, I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be interesting, but theoretically, anything's possible. Male leopards will challenge each other as much as possible and expand their territories as far as they can. So I suppose yes is the answer to that question. But we'll just have to wait and see. I can just see this little tail half the time sticking up. He's like, I'm not done with that guarri. I need to go and punch the guarri some more. I think he's going to come up onto this mound. That's why I'm hesitant to cross this drainage line. I know it's not a great view that we've got, but this feeling he's going to just come and stand on the mound or sit on the mound. There we go. And he's just come around the mound and he's going back now. There we go. Morgan. Not a bad call, eh? Not at all. Thorn to the leg. Yeah, that wasn't such a good call. I mean, it's a bit sticky in front of him. He's literally laying in the one place that there's like a little stick in front. Typical. James Henry would be doing his nut in right now. He'd be panicking about these sticks. I think that's even going to settle for a little bit. I don't think he's going to go too far now. You're going to find that he's going to just groom himself, and then maybe as it gets a little hotter, if the sun comes, then he'll get up and go again. Very impressed with him this morning, though. He's been the good tortoise pan today. We get the bad tortoise pan and the good tortoise pan. Bad tortoise pan is the one that doesn't want anything to do with cars and goes running off into bushes and typically doesn't want to be followed. The good tortoise pan is what we've got today, where 3 vehicles have followed him and he hasn't actually worried too much about things. He's just laid down and, well, taken it very, very easy. So we've got the good tortoise pan today. He's like old two-faced tortoise pan. You can use that for your T, for your alphabet book, Morgan. Two-faced tortoise pan. Too many words to read, yeah. True, actually. We'll just do T for tortoise pan. Anyway, we're going to sit with him and see what he gets up to. Hopefully he's going to settle and we can spend most of the morning with him. But time will tell.
I'm very excited for Tristan that he has managed to find and stick with tortoise pan. How exciting. I am still driving around. I've just left Chitwa Dam and I'm still looking for these leopard tracks. There haven't been any signs of the leopard here on the road, but I'm gonna keep checking. There's a massive advantage that the wind is blowing so strongly, because it means hopefully these leopards are still active. Like you could see with tortoise pan, he's moving quite a bit. So that's what I'm hoping to find if I find this leopard. We are in quite a perfect area at the moment. There's a lot of little drainage lines with really big trees. There's a lot of good places for a leopard to hide. What's also really good about this area is it's quite attractive to a lot of the herbivores like impalas. Prey species for a leopard this early in the morning. Lots of small steenbok and duiker around as well, which is even better. Wish me luck, I hope I find one.
Well, it's about to be absolute pandemonium here, I think. It seems like a concoction of things are about to happen, and it's going to take a little bit of luck for everything to move in the right directions. But I've just gotten an update from the guys on Arethusa that there's a pack of dogs running straight towards where we are, as well as another male leopard sawing and dark mane. So they're all coming kind of roughly in the direction where Tortoise Pan is sitting, a little bit south of us, but maybe we're going to get a whole combination of cats and dogs and all kinds of other things joining at once, which will be pretty ridiculous. So we'll see what happens. The dogs are still inside Arethusa, but very close to the boundary now. And dark mane is somewhere there as well. So I think it might be a fair amount of chaos that will erupt in this section. Just now. For now, it's all very relaxed. I wonder if it's not Mulawati that's calling to our south. Remember, yesterday I was tracking his tracks and he came exactly where we are now, but just on the road to our left, and he cut through this way. So maybe that's who Tortoise Pan is smelling and hearing, because the guys said that when they were with the dogs they could hear sawing, and we were with him and he definitely hasn't sawed once this morning. So I wonder if Mulawati's not also in the area. There he goes. Attack another quarry. Yes, boy. Look at that. There's something about a big male leopard walking past you that is just ridiculously cool. See if he'll hug this one. Nope, that one's not worthy of a hug. That one's just worthy of a little spray. A lot of you ask about tracking leopards. So you can see in this area, You wouldn't be able to track footprints here, but you would be able to see where that urine was sprayed on that bush, and so that's what you'd be tracking through here, is to look for droplets of pee and broken little quarry leaves when they're up on it. Alexa, do all leopards have different spot patterns? Yes. So their spots are like our fingerprints. They're all different. It doesn't matter where on the body, there's always a slight difference, whether it be tail, shoulders, legs, nose, anything like that. They will be able to pick it up and, well, to be able to see the difference in them, and we can too. That's why we can ID them so easily after the first few times, is that once you realize what their spots are, it can be pretty easy. I actually, funny enough, struggle from photographs more than I do from the animal in real life. I find like the combination of spots sometimes can be a little bit tricky and misleading, just based off angle, but what is never misleading is the size, shape and demeanor of the animal when it's walking. I find that much easier than actual spot pattern photos. The dogs kill. If the dogs kill, then everybody's going to go in that direction. Hyenas, lion, leopard, will be madness. I've only ever once had a sighting of all the big predators of this reserve in one place. So we had a sighting on Nkoro of wild dogs, cheetah, lion, leopard and hyena, all in the same place, which was pretty ridiculous back in 2011. It was a pretty manic morning, as you can imagine. It was an absolute nightmare from a vehicle standby point of view, because everybody obviously wanted to get in on this, and at the end of the day, you know, you can't leave a sighting like that when things keep arriving. But it was essentially the cheetah and the dogs that started it all, and then the leopard, lions. There was actually a mvula that was involved in that whole little thing, mvula, and it was two of the Majingalans that used to be all the way that side, and then there was...
Welcome back. I'm busy driving on cheetah cut line, so I'm in between Djuma and Torchwood, still looking for that leopard. I know we're having some technical issues, but hopefully they'll be sorted soon, so I do apologize for that. So it sounds like with this weather there might be a bit of activity, which I'm quite excited about. Cats moving and tracks being picked up, which is amazing.
If you don't mind giving me
I can actually see a giraffe in the distance. I'll try and get closer for you. Jennifer, thank you for the question. I think my favorite leopard so far at Djuma is probably Marius. He reminds me a lot of Makoti male at Ngala. He's just very mischievous in his ways and almost kind of clumsy looking, and just absolutely amazing to watch. So I really enjoy him. But I think also, you know, I've met 6 different leopards here now. You know, it's so interesting to meet a new leopard and kind of, you know a bit of their background, but you're not quite used to them. And that for me is just wonderful. There's actually quite a nice view back there, although it's moving. Never mind, we've got 3 on the left that we can also try for, but let's see what he does. Walking into the sunrise. Definitely walking away. Alright, so this is actually part of a little herd of giraffes. I'm going to move you forward. There are still some on the left that are standing still, and actually what's interested me most as I'm looking at them, not the best view of all three of them, but we'll give it a bash, is that all three of them on this side and the one on the right that we saw first had stopped and were staring in one direction. You can actually still see that with the two behind the bush. And that is usually a sign that there might be a predator around. When herbivores are fixated on one position, that's usually why. They've heard something or smelled something or seen something that they're not so happy with. Giraffes don't really make noise, so there's no alarm calls that you would hear. But their telltale sign is staring. And occasionally even walking forwards. If they see something they're not happy with, they'd rather walk forwards and kind of approach it to figure out exactly what the situation is, then stand back. That is a beautiful view of that male. There we go. So the one on the right is the male, the darker one, that's a bit taller. And the others look to be females. They clearly do not want to be videoed this morning. So it looks like they've kind of gone back to feeding, especially the females. The male is still standing and staring a little bit. But because the females have relaxed, whatever they heard or smelled might be further off than they imagined, or maybe they don't perceive it as a threat. Maybe it's a hyena as opposed to a lion. You just never know. Beautiful. She is really stunning. She's actually stepped out into the sun. You can really see how long that neck is now. You can also see there's a tiny fork-tailed drongo that's sitting below her neck there on a little tree, hoping that she's going to flush some insects while she's feeding. Oh, there it goes. So this is actually a particularly good-looking giraffe. She doesn't have a lot of scarring on her neck, and she's got quite large beige patches in between the brown patches. Very beautiful. Right, and again, she's kind of staring a little bit, now in a different direction though, so maybe looking at the other giraffe. There's not really much that would kill a giraffe other than lions. That being said, hyenas, when they work together, could be strong enough to take down a giraffe if, for example, it's lying down. But it looks like that male is sticking quite close to the one female. I know it's not the best view. He's smelling her. So it's possible that she might actually be coming into estrus. You can see he's spending a lot of time focusing around her tail. And he's smelling to check what kind of cycle she's in at the moment. Myself and Mpho have clearly been very, very lucky recently with animals that are interested in each other. I'm actually going to move you a little bit forward. There's now a gap where they've moved to next to that tree. They're really stretching to try and get some of that food. Beautiful size comparison there, male to female. I'm going to stick around here for a little bit and watch them though, and just see what happens, particularly with that male being interested in the female. You never know what will happen.
civilized to just found some black rhino tracks. A mother with a calf. The calf tracks are so small. They're somewhere here in this area, but it's too dense to walk this way. So we're gonna walk around where it's not so dense. Let's hope we get lucky.
And sometimes you often drag their feet forward and deposit the scent mark, which is that what they use to patrol their territory.
We managed to get a glimpse of the black rhino, but for safety reasons, of course, we held back and we walked a different way, but it was such a fantastic experience. We didn't just focus on the big things, because it's not all about the big things. We focused on army ants and lots of dung. Civilized did an incredible job, but it's up to the judges now.
This is a battle of two great carnivores of the African wilderness. Whew. Whoa! You don't want to be under those jaws. Definitely, this round goes to the lion. Look at that. Fantastic.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
The bushhawk feed allows the camera person some creative license. This is my favorite style of shooting. You have to be mentally and physically prepared. You're shooting handheld in some very strange and contorted positions, always with a straight back, often in the squat position, low to the ground. The creativity comes down to the relationship and sync you have with your presenter. The more you understand each other, the more you'll be able to tell the story seamlessly.
Well, still with Tortoise Pan, he's been mobile now for quite a while, just going straight south through Mordor. Luckily everyone left us alone, because it would have made it just that much easier to follow him. Hey Morgan, It would have been nice to have somebody else to help us. It's horrible in here, but we've managed to keep up with him, and he's gone stationary now. He's found himself a little buffalo patty that he's busy licking and pushing his face into, like most leopards do. His fascination for buffalo dung is quite something. I don't know why they love it so much, they just do. So he's busy doing his little buffalo wallowing thing there. Now, in terms of where the dogs should be from where we are now, the dogs should be probably about 300 meters to our southwest. So we're just I'm waiting to hear which way they've gone. The last direction I heard was coming straight in our direction. But I don't see anything yet, and I don't see any signs of cars or hear any cars, so we'll see how that goes. And the other leopard that was sawing was somewhere here that they said that they heard it saw. So who knows? Maybe we will have a complete crazy morning. Darcy Miller, yes, I have. Twice. I've had a leopard spray on the back of the car. Hukamori once, a few years ago. I don't know, for some reason it was weird. He took fascination with the tire that's on the back of the vehicles, and he started licking it and rubbing his face on it and then licking it more. So I don't know what we drove through that he found interesting, but then he promptly turned around and sprayed it with urine. And then the other time that I've had it was back when I was at Chitwa. I had Tandi once scent mark the bonnet of the car. So yeah, I have seen them do it. It's not something that happens often, but every now and then you'll find a leopard will just be like, hey, I'm in the mood, let me just spray on these guys. Come on, boy, come up onto this mound. There's a mound that's in front of me here that would just be so spectacular to have him on. I've had a leopard on this mound before. I've had Shadulu on top of this mound. When she first started coming into Djuma, I saw her on the mound in front of me. But he looks like he's going to bypass this one, unfortunately, because it's such a nice mound for a leopard to sit on. It's kind of got a beautiful sort of grey tone to it. Perfect for a leopard just to sit on top. Anyway, all right, let's carry on. see some vehicles there now. I wonder. Nicanova, yes, tortoise pan could be a threat to Mareeps. Yeah, he's a big leopard and he's a dominant leopard, so if he starts to take over, he could chase Mareeps. But I mean, he would have to really push miles further than he is now. Mareeps is on the opposite side of where we are, so the danger of that at the moment is pretty small. He would have to really kind of take the whole of Djuma and then go into Torchwood and Chitwa to be able to be a threat to Mareeps at this stage, so I don't think we need to worry about that at all. It's only if Mareeps, as he gets older, starts to push more this way, that he could potentially have a little thing with tortoise pan. But normally what you find with these big males is when the younger males come up to them, they often just play very submissive, and that gets them out of trouble. See, he's spotted something now. I saw a car there. I wonder if it's the dogs. That's to the south of us. I know there's some wildebeest that are here as well. 3 cars parked there. So I wonder if it's not the dogs that are there. It'll be interesting to see what his reaction will be if he does spot dogs. Generally, leopards are a little bit wary of wild dogs. They don't like dogs all that much. So I'm intrigued to see what he'll get up to. A lot of you are asking which pack is that. I mean, without seeing them, that's pretty difficult to know, and it's just no one in this area seems to be able to ID wild dogs. It's ridiculous. So I'm not sure if it is anybody. It should be Pungwe Sands combination. So it's the Ottawa combination. So Ottawa pack with the Pungwe female. Interesting is that this, from what I gather and from Grant, who's the wild dog researcher in this area, he was telling me that the collared male from the Pungwe pack that we used to see here, he's joined up with the beta female from the Pungwe pack, that joined the Ottawa pack, and they've joined up and they've actually denned very late this year in August around between Satara and Orpin. So they currently have puppies there, the 2 of them, which is super interesting because she theoretically, well, from what we understood initially, is that she had little ones here with the Ottawa pack males. So yeah, I don't know, super intriguing to hear. Grant says he wasn't 100% sure, but that's from early kind of photos and whatever, that's what it looked like, but he wants to just double check still and see that the den is off the road, so he hasn't been able to actually get to it, but apparently they're starting to leave the den now and starting to run again. So yeah. Alright, TP, where are you off to? Alright, he's going to cross out now. He's gone north of where these animals are. BF always. He never sits still, this cat. He's always busy with stuff. I'm looking forward to the day we have him on a kill where he doesn't march us through all these thickets. But there's definitely something right here. I don't know if it's the wild dogs or what it is, but there's 3 cars all off-road, but like not even 100 meters from where we are. And Tortoise Pan's whole direction changed. He's cut off. He was going straight towards there, and then he's now just turned and going around. So let's see where he goes. We might see him just sneakily glide past whatever it is that is there. But looks like he's just going to go straight west at this stage. North now. There's Triple M there, so he's going to go into Arathusa. At this rate. Or we're going to just lie down for a bit. Do you know, so leopards kill cubs to bring the female back into estrus. If it's not their cubs, then they want the female to come back into estrus. And why should they be dominant and protect an area if it's not their blood? So they kill the cubs, bring that female back into heat, and then from there they can start to mate with her and produce offspring with her. That means that when they're here, because their tenure is so short as dominant individuals, that they have maximizing the amount of time that they're giving the female to produce offspring with them, and therefore further their bloodline. So that is why cubs are killed on the regular basis. Let's just stop for now. He's just having a little sniff around. So my game drive radio is completely gone. I don't know what's happened. It just won't turn on anymore or power up or anything. So I've actually asked Marcel to come and find me so that I can find out what's going on, because with so many animals in one area, it's just going to be, we're going to end up bumping into people, and maybe people want to come to him, and it's just a bit of a mess. So I'm going to try and figure all of that out while we are driving. If the cable maybe broke or something when we were off-roading. He's being as cute as he can be. You'd think male leopards wouldn't be like this, but they are. They often roll on their backs and do their thing. Nice of him to slow down for a little bit, that we can actually see him sitting. It's amazing. If you just arrived here or just driving down the road, you would never know that this cat is here. Oh, he has been full of the stretches and hugs and everything for trees today. Maybe he's Steph and Steve's spirit animal, tree hugger. Turn around. We're not going to have him for much longer, unfortunately. He's going to now cross into Arethusa, and so that will be that. But I feel like we've had a good morning with him so far, and like I say, the dogs are not too far, so I think it's them. Anyway, we'll just try and figure it out, who is who, and what's going on. And figure out if we can... Ingwe. So we'll just try and see if we can follow him over the road, and then that'll be it for the morning, I'm afraid. He I was trying to just tell this vehicle here to slow down so that they can see the leopard, because they were going to just drive right past him. Of course, now he drives past us. I mean, goes behind us. Hello, boy. All right, that's that for us. We'll leave Tortoispan to it, but it's been a good morning. Thoroughly enjoyed our time with him.
I am moving along the cut lines fairly swiftly. And that's because I wanted to get to a different area of Djuma. I'm now on the western side, where I was on the eastern side. And I am quite excited to see what happens this morning. It sounds like there's quite a bit of predator activity in this area, so I'm kind of hoping that I get to see some of my favorites this morning. Wind has picked up a lot. I'm sure you can hear it. It feels like I'm driving into a brick wall, but it's so worth it. Normally by this time of the day it's quite hot. Anywhere between 6:37 almost to 7:30 in the morning here is normally very, very hot, already peeling off the layers. But with the wind, it's a lot colder than we're used to. So we've had quite an unusual wind this week. Don't really know why. It's not like this area to have wind every single day, and let alone a very, very cold wind, and this wind is icy. I'm really hoping for an action-packed morning, so let's see what happens. So far, it seems like it is representing with tortoise pan. Let's hope I can find you something different.
What a beautiful geometric pattern on the side of this Millipede's body. So this was a very large millipede that has unfortunately died. But you can really see it's so well preserved, its legs, the shell segments of its body. And this one is still quite heavy. If I use my hand, I can actually lift it up and feel that it's quite full. All inside there is probably still some food left. So this will be a delicious snack for something like a civet, whose tracks we did spot around this area earlier today. Well, this one is starting to change color. It's starting to turn very pale. And that is the sun bleaching it over time. If I turn it over upside down, we might find it's even more white on the other side. Oh yeah, look at that side. So this must have been dead lying this way, because you can really see how pale it is on this side. So this is where the sun was hitting it full time. So its head is missing, just the back end, the tail. And it's amazing. It's like an armored, it's like a tank. So you look here, it's all the shields, everything. Then here are the treads, all that. And you can really see how many feet there are. Now, this is actually a great thing to be able to see. So millipedes are, well, the definition of a millipede is round body with different body segments, and then these two pairs of legs per segment, right? So each of these sort of sections on the body has two sets of legs. Amazingly well preserved. And then over here is a vent that it opens to release excreta. Otherwise, its body is incredibly hard and armored. Not much can get in here. And it also is filled with toxic substance, which is similar to cyanide. So it means that most things are repelled by its chemical defense. There are a couple of things that are specially designed to eat these things. Catherine, it is cool to find something like this. I completely agree with you. It's not something we see very often. I mean, we see millipedes and we see dead ones, or the leftovers, but it's not often that we get to see a nicely fully preserved one like this. Only a few of the legs are missing. It's amazing to think that this creature that has hundreds of legs. I mean, how many segments? I don't even know. I didn't even count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. I don't know, like 50 segments at least. So this thing has at least 2 pairs of legs per segment. So more than 200 legs on this thing. It controls them all and still has sensory organs here on the top side, which you can't see now because the head is missing. Has muscle structure that allows this body to be sinuous like a snake. In fact, this very creature here has a defense mechanism that makes it imitate a snake. So it literally moves its body in this serpentine motion. It goes upside down, moving its body in the serpentine motion, and then that can cause a small predator who is thinking of eating it to think, oh, crap, it's a snake. I wasn't expecting that. And then it moves away. And then it can excrete chemicals from between the body segments as well. And then the other defense mechanism is simply the hard shell. It's very, very hard. It's not something that most things can get in. I hope we get to see some millipedes once the rain falls and they start to become more active, some live millipedes, and we might even get a chance to see some assassin bugs who, quite often specialize in catching and killing millipedes by inserting very sharp, sort of needle-like mouth parts in between these body segments and basically sucking out their insides. I think they probably inject a venom of some sort and then they just suck out their insides. It's pretty gruesome, but it leaves a perfectly preserved outer shell, which might well have happened to this millipede. This was an extremely big millipede. Don't often find them this big. This was probably about, I don't know, maybe 2/3 of its body length. I don't think it was the full size. Just 2/3 of it. How cool is that? And these things feel so weird when they're on your hand. All these hundreds of legs moving together over your hand or something, they like grip you a little bit. It's very interesting. But the reason we came to this area is not so much for this millipede. We actually came here to see if we could find some wild dogs, but we haven't found them yet. They're around here somewhere. There was one seen and we've heard audio of them somewhere in this area, so we're going to try and see if we can find them. But in the meantime, we'll show you what you could possibly win if you become a WildEarth explorer.
If you are a WildEarth explorer, then we are excited to announce that there is another unique prize for you to win. Sign up to be an explorer before the 16th of October 2021, and you and a friend could be heading off to an eco-training ranger experience. This 2-night opportunity offers a living and learning adventure where you will combine seeing incredible nature with gaining knowledge on how animals live in the wild. You will approach dangerous game on foot, learn how to track, do some 4x4 driving, and have an exclusive opportunity to join the WildEarth team behind the scenes on the live show. After each action-packed day, you will relax around the campfire and listen to the nighttime choir of animal sounds before you drift off to sleep. WildEarth explorers, it's in your nature.
While Mike is looking for his wild dogs on foot and pridelands, I have found some here at Djuma. We're right on the western edge of Djuma at the moment, and I am beyond excited to be sitting with a pack of wild dogs that I've never met before. It's just unbelievable. This is such a rare find, and I didn't think that I'd be seeing wild dogs less than a week in. So it seems like this pack has just settled down for the day, found some shade, and we're in an area called Impala Plains, so it's very fitting that the wild dogs are here at the moment. Definitely setting themselves up for some success tonight with hunting, as it starts kind of turning towards dusk. There'll be lots of impalas in Impala Plains. So I can see at least 9 wild dogs. There might be more, But you can see they're kind of just grouped together, sleeping for now. And kind of looking around in the wind. So there have been a lot of other predators very close by, which is probably why there's still some of them that are looking quite alert, and with every noise they're lifting their heads. And that's because we know that there have been some lions seen a little bit further north. Tortoise Pan was around this area as well earlier with Tristan. So you can imagine they're just wanting to stay on top of the news updates around them of what's where. So I do know one of the packs of wild dogs that are here every now and then on the property, one of them has a wild dog that was previously in an Ngala pack, which is really exciting. So because I haven't seen them up and moving yet, I'm not sure if it is this pack. But it would be very cool to greet an old friend here at Djuma who's moved across. James Richard, thank you so much. I am beyond excited. There's nothing like spending time with wild dogs, so to have actually had the opportunity to come and find them is just unreal. I still can't really believe that it's happening. The colors on that one are just unbelievable. There's so many, there's black, white and gold all in one patch there. And it's in the sun. How perfect. So I wouldn't actually be surprised if these dogs stay here the whole day. Through the wind, they might just move around a little bit, finding different patches of shade. But I'm pretty sure they're going to stick around for the day, and hopefully some impalas pop up in Impala Plains later on. With the wind blowing so strong, it is a massive advantage to these dogs because the wind is actually blowing away from Impala Plains. They're on the southern section of Impala Plains, and the wind is blowing straight past. And so that means that impalas coming from the northern side of Impala Plains will not actually smell them. Alright, so I am going to try and get a little bit of a different angle, try and see some of their faces, and hopefully I might see a lot more of these wild dogs this morning.
My name is Nomfundo Ndlovu, and I'm the Senior Project Manager for the WISA Schools and Youth Unit. I'm a qualified horticulturalist. I'm particularly passionate about supporting schools towards working through their sustainability journey and towards food sovereignty through our food gardening projects. A typical day in my work involves me overseeing our national projects and creating an enabling environment for schools to thrive and succeed in working towards self-reliance and sustainability, and really ensuring that no school gets left behind.
We're in the center of the reserve. It's a much more open area, so a completely different experience. It's also in the afternoon, so just a little bit hot, shall we say. We're following some lion tracks, and then we found the scat of a lion cub. So we didn't see the lions, but we decided to leave the area. It was getting a bit too dense and a bit too thick. So we've come all the way down to the water hole to have a little break, and then we're going to keep walking and see what else we can find. And TJ himself actually reminded us at the start of the walk that when you're on the vehicle, it's all about observing. But when you're on a walk, It's all about immersing yourself in nature, being part of the ecosystem, and that's exactly what happened today.
Looks like it's a very difficult climb because every time it tries to climb, the ground is breaking, so it slides down. But it's the only one. Look at that. That is the call of desperation with a cub. It's like, what are you doing, mommy? Oops! Oof!
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
Well, the pride is just starting to settle, so we were with Tortoise Pan and we walked into the dogs and we settled with the dogs, and then Tessa came, so we left the dogs because I don't know really why, what was happening there. But anyway, we managed to then come back and kind of bumble off from where Tortoise Pan was, and the Talamati pride has emerged exactly where we had been following him. I don't know where Darkmane is in all of this, but he's also apparently somewhere around here. But the pride is all settling now. They've just gotten into the shade. They've got blood all over them. So they've eaten something this morning, but whatever it was not very filling for a pride of this size. And none of them have got big tummies. There's just lots of blood, that's all. So I expect maybe a very small impala that they managed to catch. Just going to keep quiet. The one who's talking here. I love it when they kind of come together and they start grooming. You'll see one by one they're all going to arrive. There's another one that's full of blood as well. So what they'll do is they get into the shade now, and then they'll start grooming themselves and try and get rid of all of that blood and gunk that's on their fur and just get themselves nice and clean and looking a little bit more respectable and less like they've just committed a crime. Here comes one of the boys. These males are looking ridiculous. They're getting so big now, and their manes are starting to look amazing as well. Look at that. Starting to develop nicely. I don't know where the third boy is at the moment. It's just two that I've spotted so far this morning. I don't know if the third one is, missing or what the story is. The guys in Manuleti said they saw 3 a few weeks ago, so it's not like it's just the 2 and that he's been missing for long. He's lying down there, Morgan. I know, ruined that shot for you, didn't he? Yeah. Didn't pay attention to the script, that male lion, I'm afraid. But yeah, I think we're going to find that they're going to settle here. So this afternoon, theoretically, we're going to have dogs, lions. Well, Tortoise Pan crossed out, so that's okay. We made an exchange. We made for 1 leopard. We got a pride and a pack to come our side. But it'll be interesting to see what happens this afternoon because, with the lions, they're going to lie up here. The dogs are not very far at all from where we are. They're just to the south of us here. And we know the dogs will get going this afternoon and they're going to hunt. And if they kill something, they could very easily attract the attention of the pride. When I was with Tortoise Pan and we kind of lost him over the boundary and turned, we got the dogs there. And the dogs were being shouted at by wildebeest. So if they hear that, it's very likely that they can go in that direction to go and investigate what's happening. All right, well, we'll switch here with these guys. Djuma has been absolutely firing this morning on this western side. And so while we sit with all of the animals that are here, let's send you across to Amy so she can say good morning.
Well, hello everybody and welcome to andBeyond Ngala. It is another beautiful morning out in the bush and we have found some elephants in the riverbed to start us off today. Oh, that little one is very cute. Just curious of what we're doing. Well, hello, and my name is Amy, and behind the camera we have Gat as always. and we are just enjoying being out this morning and enjoying these elephants that we found, having a drink here in the riverbed. Looks like they're slowly walking away from where they were drinking water this morning. You can see this little one has a bit of some darker patches on its forehead. Definitely has been drinking and maybe splashing around, playing a little bit with mom just behind. Very curious about us, see how it's walking very tentatively, stopping, looking. Ears out, making itself look a little bit bigger. And listening to us, using its trunk to have a little sniff every now and again. Just catching the morning sun as the day begins out here in the bush. There we go, the trunk just up again. You see how it lifts it and points it in our direction, having a little sniff. I wonder what it's going to decide to do, if it goes back closer to mom or it carries on just standing there. Maybe it starts to try and feed on some grass. Oh, look at that. Yes, Mark, I agree. What a cute little guy. Very, very sweet. Oh, it looks like it is heading a little bit back to where it came from, closer to mom, where it feels nice and safe and secure. Well, I think we may stay with these elephants for a little bit longer, see what they do, but in the meantime, you head over to Mike.
We finally found a track of the wild dog that was seen earlier. As you can see here, it's right in the middle of the road and the tracks are coming from here. There's a nice clear one that you can see. There's the pad, and these are the toes. 1, 2, 3, 4 toes. It was heading in that direction towards the waterhole. There's an even clearer one just over here. Nice deep pad. 1, 2, 3, 4 toes. Nice and clear. And so this is on top of all the vehicle tracks. So this, whilst we've been on our walk, this wild dog has come down, I think, towards Leopard Dam. There hasn't been anyone else that spotted them, just the one was seen, and it was calling frantically for the rest of its pack. I don't know if it's found the pack yet, but this is great news for us. They do like to drink water frequently, and so there's an excellent chance that if this wild dog is still missing the rest of its pack, it might well find them with a lot of vocalizing. And then if it does find them, they'll probably all move together towards this waterhole here. In fact, the waterhole is just down over here. You can see it. And there's Leopard Dam just over here. Oh, there's more than one wild dog. Look, there's another track here. Perhaps this is the group that it was calling. Here's the second track over here. Also going in that direction. So, maybe the individual that we heard is looking for this group that's run across the road in this direction. So that's why they drag the roads as well quite frequently, because then we can really see tracks clearly. If this road had not been dragged recently, it would have lots and lots of tracks of animals coming and going to the water, and the wild dog tracks might get lost in all that confusion. What's this over here? See, there's a patch here which is smoother. It looks like some animal was lying here, maybe. Oh, there's a hyena track just in there. Yeah, it was a hyena. It's just lying here, maybe after having a drink. What we're going to do is we're going to just wait here, close to the water, maybe sit somewhere in the shade, and be very quiet for the next half an hour or so, just to see if those animals do come down to the water's edge, because that'll be so exciting to see lions, which are also in this area somewhere, or wild dogs coming to the waterhole. Wish us luck.
Welcome back to some very sleepy wild dogs this morning. They seem to be huddling together, trying to stay out of that cold wind. So they're only lifting their heads every now and then when they hear something close by. But for now, I think they're just enjoying being a little bit lazy because they've had a very active morning running around. I can hear the wind rustling through the leaves at the moment. So I can imagine, in a sense, it calms them down knowing that they've got a massive advantage. And on the other hand, they can probably smell all the other predators that are in the area that are upwind. I know tortoise pan was in the area just now. And the lions are further north as well, which is where the wind is blowing from. And how wonderful to be able to sit here and watch them resting, see them moving every now and then. Just absolutely incredible to be with a pack of wild dogs. I still can't believe it. Right, so it seems one of the wild dogs here on Djuma is starting to lift its head a little bit, kind of scanning with its ears, very, very massive ears. And it's definitely trying to pick up any sounds in the wind, because the wind is because the wind is blowing quite strongly. It's been getting harder and harder. They're actually lying downwind from where some lions have been reported, or the lions that Tristan's with actually are just north of us. And this is the area that tortoise pan was in earlier, so they're actually looking quite relaxed considering the amount of activity there is here this morning. Julia, it is amazing to see wild dogs again. I feel like I'm in a dream at the moment. I haven't seen wild dogs in a very long time, months and months and months. So I kind of can't get enough. It probably sounds a bit strange, but I love the smell of wild dogs. If I smell wild dogs, even if I haven't seen them yet, I get this crazy excited feeling. Very distinct smell. Not a pleasant smell to most people, but I think to me it just has that feeling of immediate excitement. Dear watcher, no, I don't know if there are any pups. I wouldn't think that there are any pups at the moment. There haven't been any active wild dog dens on Djuma, so if they are denning, they would be denning off the property. That being said, I haven't seen any females with lactation marks or anything like that. At the moment, they're all lying so close together, I can't even tell which the female is. Normally, the alpha pair would be either off to the side or kind of the rest of the dogs might come and join them, and it's very, very difficult to tell at the moment which the alpha even is to see if she has any lactation marks. I haven't had a good enough look yet to see if this is the pack that has the member from the Ngala pack either. So it's quite interesting it's almost like learning a whole new pack because it's the first time I've seen them. I'm learning all about them. I do know that this pack, I think, is slightly larger than the other pack. And so it's most likely that this is the pack that has the Ngala male in it, and this is the pack that's been focusing more on the Arathusa area, so the western side. So they very possibly have had a den there. It doesn't look like any of these wild dogs are much smaller than the others, so I wouldn't think that there are any newer pups here. Alright, so from shady predators here in one area, I'll send you over to Tristan with his lines that are also shading it up.
Well, it's nice to see Tessa is retaining some information about what I told her about those dogs. I was telling her that the Ngala male is part of that Ottawa pack. But yeah, anyway. Lions doing what they do best. This little male is not so little. I mean, that mane's getting big now. He was perfectly head up, and of course, as you guys came to us, flopped down and is now having a good nap. The rest of the pride has all moved from where he is now. He kind of came in and then I don't know if it's him or what, but they all got up and moved back to the shade. Alan, it is amazing how they blend in the grass. Obviously, males with the manes, not so much. It's a situation where they kind of get the darker mane, and so they blend. They kind of stand out a little bit. But the females, 100%, they blend in so well. It's always incredible to see the camouflage that they have, and the way that they're able to kind of, particularly in this winter grass, just like sit and just disappear from view. It's pretty incredible. It's a very interesting grooming technique. Boys are getting big though. Can be a nice coalition, this, even if it is the two. Lee, will any of the big cats ever attack you if not provoked? No, they shouldn't. I mean, provoked, what do we deem provoked? Is provoked walking through their area at night, being silly with no light or anything and not being able to see them? I suppose that is. You kind of getting into their space and causing them to feel like you're in their space, and therefore they react naturally. So I don't know if provoked is the right word. For me, these guys are animals that are instinctual and will react according to what they feel is right. So, you know, unprovoked attacks are there's very few and far between. I don't think you can really use that wording. I think it's not the right way to describe attacks by wild animals. Remember that where wild animals attack people is generally in areas where they occur, and so people already should have the notion that they're there. And a cat killing somebody is, that walks past and is opportunistic is how they work. That's not provoked, it's just the way it is, or unprovoked, it's just how they operate. So I don't really think that terminology works very well. It's like a term that's been used and thrown around when animals attack people unprovoked, didn't do anything to the animal. Well, you were walking around in a place where they occur, so, they eat meat and you are meat. It's pretty much a simple equation. It's not that you have to go and taunt them to get them to attack you. They will attack if they feel like there's an opportunity to utilize food. I'm just going to move, Morgan, so that we actually have a better view of all of them. It's not very good where we are right now. For now, because we'll have him and then the rest of the pride kind of in the background there in their little lion puddle that they're at the moment. Everybody's sort of flopped down in the shade. I think they're expecting a warm day, which is pretty par for the course. It is going to be fairly hot today as far as I know. They're saying it's going to be in the 30s, but there's a cold wind still blowing, so if the wind will have to heat up and become warmer, and almost a berg wind if it's to warm up properly today. Still only 7, eh, Morgan? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Yeah. 8. 8. So there's another one there at the back. Okay. So 8 of them, which is the 8 that have been walking around a lot together of late. All right. While we carry on sitting with the Talamatis, we'll see what they get up to for the rest of the morning. I doubt it'll be very much. And send you across to Amy and see how her morning's getting on.
Well, we are still here with this elephant and the little one, but it's actually moved up high onto the bank, so for now we can only see the female who has decided to start feeding after they drink this morning on some of these reeds that are in the riverbed. And now she's decided to start spraying some sand on her as well. Oh, and she's got a stick. She's doing all sorts of things this morning. A little bit of this and a little bit of that. She's actually chewing. If you look at her mouth, she's actually got a stick in her mouth at the moment that she's feeding on. There we go. It's sticking out on either side. Just rolling it up and down those teeth, breaking off the nutritious part of what she's feeding on. There we go. She's pulled out another one now. Let's see what she does with it. Looks like she's actually using her foot to help her get the piece of the reed that she's wanting, get rid of the pieces that are maybe not as tasty, so that she can just eat the part that she wants. Let's just watch her feed for a bit. I'm always fascinated by how an elephant uses their trunk so skillfully. The way they've mastered the ability to use those two tips of that trunk to be able, like a hand, like fingers. You can be so precise with it and do exactly what they need to do to be able to feed or move something or drink or dig, or it's an incredible tool that elephants have, and it's what I think is one of the things that keeps them so interesting to watch. No matter how many times you see an elephant, I know lots of people say it, but there's really, you can watch them for hours because they're just always doing something, and I think that trunk plays a huge part in that. Oh, the little one just made an appearance, sticking out its trunk just through that spike thorn. Still very well camouflaged. All you can see is a few leaves moving there. But Mom is still carrying on to feed out there. I think, yeah, in those bushes they were just moving with the little one behind. Nazreen, you want to know if female elephants ever live a solitary life. Now, from what I've seen out here in the bush, no, that they are generally all together in a herd, the females and their young. But I have seen in other parts of Africa, sometimes a female may be left behind because they are injured or sick and can't keep up with the herd anymore, and sort of they're not really on their own in that the herd is always around, they just might not always be directly with them. We actually have some elephants coming down right now from the bank on our right, I think, to maybe come and even drink in the river. There we go, you can just see them heading down. There's one. And there are a few more just on the bank that may make an appearance soon. But Nazreen, to just come back to your question, it is most likely that the bull elephants are the ones that are sort of have to disperse, leave the herd, and often are found on their own. Maybe 1, 2, 3 of them together, and they are the ones who go off and live a solitary life. But the females and their young, they form the family groups, the herds that we see. And so no, I guess you wouldn't really find a female elephant living on her own, but it is possible. Like I mentioned, that she may have to be away from the herd for a time just because she can't keep up with them. But we're going to stay here and see if these other elephants come down into the riverbed.
If you are a WildEarth explorer, then we are excited to announce that there is another unique prize for you to win. Sign up to be an explorer before the 16th of October 2021, and you and a friend could be heading off to an eco-training ranger experience. This 2-night opportunity offers a living and learning adventure where you will combine seeing incredible nature with gaining knowledge on how animals live in the wild. You will approach dangerous game on foot, learn how to track, do some 4x4 driving, and have an exclusive opportunity to join the WildEarth team behind the scenes on the live show. After each action-packed day, you will relax around the campfire and listen to the nighttime choir of animal sounds before you drift off to sleep. WildEarth Explorers, it's in your nature.
We had a very exciting start to our morning this morning. Today, it's our guided sunrise safari with Mike, and we started by looking at the moon through a telescope, which was incredible. It's been a very different drive from all the other ones, very interactive.
Your pigeal gland is something the Hippos have in common.
Hi. This morning's drive with Mike was thoroughly enjoyable. He really engaged us, but we also did some birding, and I managed to add a few new birds onto my list. Overall, every single experience with all the competitors has been really incredible, but it's up to the judges now.
As you can see, it's two Egyptian geese sitting on a small island, and I thought was really interesting is that they're standing both on one leg, incredibly well balanced, and there's a very good reason for them doing that. Now, there is a cool wind, a gentle breeze rather, still blowing, that's very cold, and those geese are trying to regulate their temperature by lying, or standing rather, in the sun with only one leg exposed. The wind is cool, so it reduces the amount of their bare skin, which is going to be cooling down, and then they can catch the warmth. The sun can slowly warm up the feathers and the air gaps beneath their feathers, and slowly over time they keep their temperature at a nice, regular, constant. The water is quite cold, so they don't want to get wet at this time in the morning. There's another small animal that's also trying to keep itself reasonably warm, and that's the little grebe. I don't know if you'll be able to see it from where you are. BK, can you see it there? I can see it from where I am quite nicely. The little grebe has pulled itself out of the water and is now sitting on the log in the middle of Leopard Dam. And this is a young grebe. It's not yet having its full dark colors. Still a youngster, but obviously wants to carve out itself a little territory here. Hopefully it'll be very successful. It's a good place for a grebe. Plenty of small frogs, fish, and a lot of other small things. But why most of the animals around Leopard Dam are very, very still, Tessa's got something that's highly mobile.
Welcome back to Djuma, where the wild dogs have decided to get up and start playing a little bit. And they're actually looking straight into the wind, which is where the lion smell is coming from. So I'm incredibly excited because we've got the entire pack moving in front of us and around us. It looks like 12 wild dogs in total. Oh, sorry, my head's in the frame. We've got 12 wild dogs walking. And it looks like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of them are fairly large adults. And the other 6 are a bit younger, so maybe pups from last year that are still with the pack. As you can see, everybody's starting to kind of spread out. this is for one of two reasons. First would be hunting. Everybody spreads out, puts their noses down and listens, and if they hear something, they'll jet off. The other reason is they're smelling something like the lions and might be wanting to have a look. So I'll have to see if I can follow them if they start moving. Always my favorite off-roading to do. So at the moment, still moving fairly slowly, but if they start going, they're going to start going very, very quickly. You can see though how they kind of walk in lines, their noses go down, so they're smelling all the different things in front of them. Rona, yes, it is normally the alpha pair, so they would decide it's time to get up and start moving, and the rest of the pack will then follow. So what the alpha pair says is pretty much what happens. The only exception to this would be sometimes a separate female, if there is a separate female in the pack, might get pregnant. And if that happens, then there's a lot more drama. Either those pups are abandoned or the female's abandoned, because only the alpha female should be having pups. The only exception to that rule would be if the pack needs to expand quickly and they can tolerate more than one female having pups with all those mouths to feed, then the pups might survive. But yes, the alpha pair actually got up and started walking, and so you can see the rest of the pack has followed. So they're kind of all standing at attention in Impala Plains at the moment. And I think they're kind of deciding what they want to do. So to their left, the direction they're looking in, that's where the lions are with Tristan. So I think the adults in particular are busy trying to sum up which is the best way to go. They gather information from the air, they're smelling things that we definitely can't smell, they're hearing things we can't hear. And you can see the pups are the ones that are kind of more just milling around. One's even laid down again. Oh, and we've got a hyena following them. It's quite a young hyena. They haven't noticed it yet because the wind is so strong. Thank you so much, James Richard, for identifying the pack. Absolutely incredible. Right, so this hyena is kind of following just behind the pack. It is quite a small hyena, it's not the biggest hyena I've seen. Only some of the wild dogs have noticed. You can see not really too bothered by the hyena following them, and that's because there's no threat at the moment with 12 wild dogs against one hyena. It's not a huge threat. If, however, there was a carcass, if they were busy eating something, that would be a different story. They would be feeling a bit more aggressive and protective, so they would be moving that hyena out. But at the moment, the idea is the hyena will just follow behind the wild dogs and hope for some scraps as they kill things, because they are so successful at making kills. There's a pretty decent chance that if a hyena always follows behind, that they'll get some scraps. It's actually beautiful seeing them all so spread out like that. So those two are watching the hyena moving. Actually, looks like they almost were having a bit of a stare off there, because the hyena's also stopped and just staring at them. And now they've lost interest in the hyena. It's not coming closer, so it's not a threat. So now it's back to analysing what's coming in with that very strong wind. Let's see what happens as that wild dog gets closer to the hyena. In all likelihood, it'll speed up a little bit right at the end and start chasing the hyena, but you can see the hyena's not sticking around to see what happens. The hyena knows that it's outnumbered, so just being walked towards is enough of a warning to say, all right, time to move off. So I can imagine for this hyena there must be quite a sensory overload this morning, because this is where Tortoise Pan was earlier. This is where the wild dogs are now, and the lions are further north. So this hyena is probably picking up all of these different scents. And so it'll be very interesting to see what's actually happening in that hyena's brain. Do I stick with the wild dogs? Do I go and investigate the lions? To me, the best bet would definitely be sticking with the wild dogs in terms of food. But I also have a soft spot for them, so I would always choose the wild dogs. Right, so it looks like the pack is starting to settle down again. You'll see they're all lying down now in the open. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and get a little bit closer. See if we can get a nice view of them now that they're not in such long grass. Just make it easier to actually have a good look at them and take in the I don't know about everyone else, but I'm wildly excited about this. Oh, hyena. So this is my first really clear view of the whole pack together, because they were in such long grass earlier. It was quite hard for me to actually have a look at all of them, and then when they were moving I got to see the full strength in numbers. Absolutely stunning. We've got one wild dog that looks like it is vomiting. It's definitely trying to make itself vomit there. And then eating it again. So this is quite typical for wild dogs. This is actually the way that they feed their young. They regurgitate their food, and then that's what the puppies will eat back at the den site. So not unusual. Could have just been that something wasn't quite sitting right and needed to readjust, since there are no pups to feed here. It's amazing for me to know that there's a little bit of history for me with this pack, that there's one of these wild dogs was at Ngala. That's just mind-blowing. Takes me straight back. I just got quite a fright. The hyena literally just walked straight behind my back, right next to me, and sniffed on my cables. So I'm pretty sure this pack's not going to go too far during the day, although they've moved into the massive open area of the clearing. You'll probably find that they won't move too far from here. It is cool enough that if they do want to move with the wind, they definitely can. But they shouldn't really need to, because this is a really popular area for a lot of game. So one of them is crying. You'll probably find they'll stick around here, or maybe even with something to eat a lot earlier than sunset.
We've been looking for these lions the whole morning, and we haven't found them yet. And we just got word that 2 lionesses have crossed our boundary looking for their youngsters. And we found their tracks now after the whole morning searching for them. But what's very interesting is that this is where I walked yesterday. This is my track right over here. And over here is the track of a lioness, and she is literally stepping on my footprint. How incredible is that? I always find that to be one of the most amazing things, that we share this place with these wild animals. We walk on the same pathways, we walk on the same roads, and just if it had been a few hours different, we might have actually bumped into each other on this very road. And there's more tracks. You can actually see there's been a number of lionesses. There's 2 actually. There's one track here, one directly on top of my footprint over there, and as we go forward we might just get a chance to see the second lioness's print. Yeah, okay, here we go. Look over here. There's a different lioness walking this way, going across there, and then the first lioness walking this way. How cool is that? And these are such clear tracks. This road was dragged to keep it clear, to remove grass, to stop fires from spreading. Now it means we can spot the tracks super easily. So I'm going to just walk down this road a little bit and see if we can find any more interesting tracks along the road. So if you come and look over here, you can see tracks of doves that have also been here looking for seeds. You can see doves walking here. Now we always know dove tracks versus other birds, because doves tend to walk like they've been drinking just a little bit too much. You can see here, literally just meandering its way up and down, up and down. That's typical of doves when they're looking for seeds. They're just very, I don't know, they're just like just looking for seeds. Such a cool thing to look for. I love tracking. Hopefully we can find these lions eventually though.
Lions have popped their heads up, some of them at least, just to look around. I think it's just because the wind is gusting as much as it is this morning. It just means that they kind of pick up a scent every now and then, but otherwise it's fairly sedate and probably will be for the rest of the day. Lions typically don't do too much, although this pride, I will say, they move quite a lot during the day if something is around. So if they pick up on a buffalo herd, or if they pick up on something kind of coming past them that they feel like they can hunt, we've seen these guys cover fairly large distances even in hot days. Yeah, this has been a long time since I've seen them in this particular section. It's not an area with that whole disturbance, that male chasing them, and they kind of seek shelter for a little bit. Come back this, I'm sure was around, and whichever one you want to call it, they would have not come back. But he's probably further north in Millipede, so they've now kind of decided to start heading back to where more familiar and where they can feel more comfortable. All right, our cats are in the shade. It sounds like Amy has come to the party as well and has gotten lucky and found some cats in the shade too. temperature, especially on days like today where it's windy. Tend to be a little bit more technically difficult when we get these kind of winds blowing. But when you actually think about the factory sending of visuals of wild animals in the wild parts of pretty, they do it with sport and things where everything is kind of sorted and you've got very specific all kinds of able to do it. With them, in the meantime, I'll send you across to Tessa with the dogs.
Alright, so the pack has settled down again in the shade next to a termite mound. And from here, like Tristan would call it, a puddle of lions, this is a puddle of wild dogs. Everybody seems to have really flattened now, other than the occasional lifting of the head to smell or listen. So it is quite normal for wild dogs to have one that kind of keeps watch every now and then while the others sleep. It's one of the benefits of living in a pack, is that safety in numbers and knowing that there's a lot more eyes and ears. But at the same time, you can get some really good rest while there's always going to be one or two that are looking out. The wild dog dynamics has always been something that really fascinates me, where the packs move, how big they are when they split. And even their behavior when they're together, you can see clear changes in dominance and clear respect amongst them, and it just is mind-blowing how well they can communicate. As each is their own individual, when they move together, so even when they move together, they're individuals, but they can move so well together as a pack. It seems like without even thinking. But while we watch our wild dogs snoozing, let's have a look at an upcoming penguin show coming soon to WildEarth.
Well, it looks like it is a morning for the predators this morning. We decided to leave those elephants and head up to one of the larger water holes on Ngala and found some lions. How wonderful. So these are the same lions from yesterday, just a lot further northeast of where they were. Just shows how much they can move in a night, and you can just see now how they're resting here. Water's close by. They're looking very relaxed. We've got the white male there, the white female just to the left of him, and then two other tawny lions there too. Oh, he's just turned. There you can see the water just behind them, or in front of them I should say. The one lion's just sat up and is looking to the left, There was another lioness ahead of that one who's just gone to go look at something. I'm not sure if they've picked up some movement higher up on the bank or something that they're interested in at all, but that is why it's looking that way. There's another lion to the left of it. Yeah, there we go. That lion's moved off. The white male now has turned its head, which is quite nice to see. But typical lions doing what they do best, just resting. You think if you've walked so much in the evening and maybe even tried to hunt, maybe they caught something, I don't know, maybe something small that they ate and it's finished, and now they've come here near the water to just rest, and most likely what they'll be doing for the day actually. There's one lioness now has just got up and is moving to the left as well, maybe going to join that other one. Definitely something that piqued their interest. I'm not sure. Also, it is quite windy. I don't know if you can hear it at all, but there's definitely a strong breeze. You can also see it on the water as well, but that can also, and the wind's actually blowing directly from sort of the northeast directly towards them. So if there is anything up ahead of them, they would be able to smell it. White females just stood up as well. I didn't quite catch that name. What is what I heard. But yes, I do also love seeing the white lions. They are so special. And there we have the lioness walking again towards where those other two were walking. Trying to look with my binoculars up ahead as to see what if there's anything they've picked up on, or maybe just a francolin walking through the grass and the wind sort of bringing that sound closer to them, or if there is actually something significant. Like even yesterday we saw one of the lionesses turn and look in the direction that those elephants were coming from, and both Gerrit and I had no idea they were there until we saw them moving closer, but that lioness had picked it up way before we had any idea that they were around. You can just see how, just by her posture, the way she's standing, looking in that direction. Let's see. There is a giraffe which has made an appearance on the left, on the opposite side of the dam. That's going to show you now. There it is. I'm not sure if that's actually what they look at. Well, now I think it may be looking at that. But I think we are going to stay here for a little bit longer. Things may get interesting. See if maybe the giraffe comes down, or if there's any interaction between the lions and the giraffe.
scrap here collected a dry grass, put it next to the water hole as the hippo walks down during the warm of the day to drink the water. When the hippo arrives, he saw quite a very nice grass, an area not to resist to rest. And when the hippo went down to drink the water, and when finished the water, he just lied down on the grass. And then, that was the opportunity of the scrappy. You know what? Today is my day to pay the revenge.
I've seen something I've never seen here before. Look at these cubs. One is crossing the river. It's being washed away, unfortunately, but I'm sure the mother is going to save her. Look at that. How beautiful. Look at that. One crossing, two to go.
So I'm still sitting with some very sleepy wild dogs. I'm in a very lucky position here. I'm downwind, so I can smell them. And it's definitely a smell that I've missed. But you can actually see, so in the foreground we have some of the wild dogs sleeping. If you can see that kind of creamy shape in the back right there underneath the shade of a fallen tree, that's actually the hyena that we saw earlier. And it's decided to actually come and sleep very close to the pack. So that's about 10 meters or so away from where the wild dogs are lying. And so this hyena's definitely decided it's following the pack for the rest of the day. So they found a nice shady spot to spend the heat of the day in. And as soon as they start moving, that hyena will be up and following them looking for scraps. Not too concerned about whatever else is happening. Did a quick scan and then back to sleep. But it seems like this is the most settled that the pack has been. All of the dogs are completely flat at the moment, which is the first time since I've been with them this morning that all of them have been flat. We've now got one wild dog that's lifted its head. So let's see if any more of them get up. The hyena is also lifting every now and then just to sniff into the wind. Alright, so they've actually, the way that they've distributed themselves, maybe Mpo can get a wider shot. There's almost two patches of wild dogs with a little gap in the middle. And it's actually just mostly where the shade has fallen. So there's the first little patch of wild dogs, one with its head half up. There's the second patch of wild dogs coming in with a little gap in the middle. And then there's one way off to the left that's sitting on its own. There it is. So when they actually slept like this, it was mostly because that's where the patches of shade were from this big tree and from the quarries. But now the shade has started moving. So they kind of fell into two little groups like that. And I'm pretty sure they are literally going to follow the shade around this termite mound for the rest of today. So as the sun is moving and this shade shifts, they'll shift with the shade. This dog is actually looking a bit more alert than the rest of the pack, I'd say. They are dead asleep. But this one is actually looking away from the wind, which is quite interesting. I would have thought it would have been looking into the wind, picking up on the smells and sounds. But possibly this one is actually looking downwind to see if any more hyenas or anything are coming. So I had a good look at some of the members while they were up. I saw a really beautiful big female, but she doesn't have any lactation marks or anything like that. She's got quite a full belly, but so do some of the others, so I don't think that there are any pups around anymore, if there were any. Yolanda, the alpha pair it can actually be determined by strength if they do decide to have a bit of a fight, but normally the alpha pair is determined by the female. So when the female in the pack has puppies, you'll have a lot of different males and female puppies that have come along. The females usually actually leave the pack and the alpha female will stay, but if she is starting to get a little bit older, before the pups leave, or there might be, maybe she gets injured or something like that, another female will step in and kind of overthrow her. So it could be one of her own pups, it could be a female from another pack altogether that comes in and takes over dominance, but usually it would be either one of her pups, or if by some chance one of her sisters has stayed around, it'll be the next closest female. The males are determined by fighting amongst them, so they actually have a dominance hierarchy that they would determine amongst themselves, and the most dominant male would then become the alpha male. So I have seen it before where there have been a few males that have tried to mate with an alpha female in a pack. It's been very unusual, but normally the dominance is held by the strongest male that's asserted his dominance over the other males, because the males will normally stay with the pack for their lifetime. The females are actually the ones that break off. So wild dogs are quite different to other animals in that sense, where the females will go and find other packs and the males will stay with their pack from the time they're born. It's very rare to have a male wild dog leave and find another pack, although we know from this pack it does happen. I would actually be very interested to kind of get to watch the pack over a long period of time and see what their movements are and what the dynamics are. You can imagine, because when wild dogs are moving, they're incredibly active, so you have to look for individual pattern characteristics on each wild dog and then follow each one and be really systematic about recording what they do every single day, whether it's just scent marking, playing, dominance displays, anything like that. You'd have to record over quite a long period of time to learn the proper dynamics within a pack. I don't know if anyone's ever described the smell of a wild dog to you, but to me it smells a bit like wet dog and urine. Nancy, in a wild dog's lifetime, so it would kind of depend. They can live anywhere from 6 to 12 years. So it would depend kind of how long the wild dog lives. But they would normally only have 1 litter a year. The breeding season, or the denning period, if you can call it that, is normally kind of just coming into winter, actually. So it's during the impala rutting season, so that the pups are born a little bit later. Great for mom to make more milk. But if they're only denning once a year and they live on an average to 6 to 12 years, a wild dog will probably only reach sexual maturity when it's maybe 3 years old. So some females might have 3 litters, some might have 6, some might have 9, depending on how long they live. I have heard of it happening where if a litter is lost, they can come into estrus again, so it could get a lot more than that. But I would say probably the average in a lifetime would be maybe 8 to 9 litters. I could be wrong, but I would say that would be the average, considering they only have 1 real denning period a year. actually quite unbelievable. Wild dogs are very well known for their litters being exceptionally large. So where the average for something like a leopard would maybe be 2 to 3 cubs, for a lion maybe 4. Wild dogs can have up to sometimes 21 pups in a litter. That's an unbelievable amount of babies to be carrying and feeding. The average, though, would be more like 10 in a litter. Alright, so I'm going to stick around for a few more minutes and just see what happens. It doesn't look like they're going to move far, but you never know, they might surprise me. And then we'll see what happens with them as the day goes on.
Well, the dogs are pretty quiet. These impalas have emerged at Gallagher Pan, and we had a report that there was lots of alarm calls from impalas at the pan itself, but we can't find anything. I've done a couple of loops around to try and see no tracks that I can pick up, but they do look quite alert every now and then looking to the north, so I don't know if maybe, just maybe, Tlalamba or Shasha somewhere around here. It's very, very possible. And they also a bit twitchy because the wind is quite hectic today. So let's just sit and listen for a little bit and see if they alarm again. Alright, well, we'll sit with these guys. They're all quiet now. Let's see maybe if something else pops up out of the woodwork.
We have repositioned here at the waterhole, and so have the lions. They moved and followed those other lionesses towards the north of the dam, and so we followed suit and have a beautiful view of the 2 white lions and some of the tawny ones behind and to the left of them as well. And we figured out what seemed to be going on here with the way that they were looking around and seemed to be interested up towards the north of the waterhole. We thought it was maybe that giraffe on the other side. They did have a look at that. But what happened is, as we came down and moved closer to these lions, you can still see the one sitting on top of a small termite mound looking out ahead of her. There was some impala, and they jumped out of the grass and started alarm calling, quite far away though. And that was what they had spotted ahead of them. And as we're sitting here now, some other animals are also making their way down to the waterhole, which I wonder if the lions are going to spot them at all. It looks like she's still looking fairly relaxed. But they, oh wow, look at that, beautiful. There's some zebras walking down just on the far side of the waterhole, still quite very far away. It looks like they may come and have a drink, but I wonder if this lioness, who seems to be very much aware of what's going on around her, she's going to pick up. Oh, they're just, did you see that change in the ears? How it moved back to forward, just listening again. I think she may have picked up on some movement ahead of the zebra. Ooh. Nazreen wants to know, so from how far can lions actually smell or hunt their prey? That is a very good question. It depends. So, you know, on a day like today where the wind is blowing directly, it's strong and it's blowing towards the lions, they could pick up, you know, well within a decent distance away from them what they would be able to smell and pick up on something there. Of course, hearing as well, the sound would travel nicely on the wind. But on a very still day where they don't really have the wind's not in their favor, for example, if it's blowing from the lions towards another animal, then they wouldn't be able to pick up on the smell of that animal so well. And sorry, there's a lot of zebras now that are walking down to the water, and I think they have no idea that these lions are here. And this lioness is now seeing them and is definitely having a good look at them. There's also quite a big herd of zebra, which is nice to see. You can just see how her whole posture is upright, ears are pointing forward, she's looking that way. You know, mature predators like lions or leopards that are a bit older in years and have experience are some of the most patient animals out here in the bush. It's actually remarkable how they can happily sit and do absolutely nothing, just listen and wait for the perfect opportunity. So at the moment, just look at that, she just changed her posture slightly, and she'll know the right moment if she does want to approach any closer, using sort of the bush line that sort of follows the end of the clearing towards the dam to conceal herself if she did want to move any closer. But I think she's seriously considering maybe starting to move a little bit closer to those animals. The lions here on the right, just look how they've picked up their heads, sniffing, listening, having a look as well. They can definitely see those animals on the other side. There's some wildebeest that have also joined in the zebra coming down to drink. And also for those, like the wind direction is coming directly from those zebra and wildebeest towards these lions. So those animals wouldn't actually be able to even pick up that these lions are here unless they spotted them. So there's definitely potentially something that may happen here. Maybe nothing at all, maybe just some lions starting to move in that direction, but we're going to stick around here for a little bit longer.
It's day one of the annual South African Guide of the Year competition. And our first foot into this competition this morning is all about tracks and signs.
We're going to call you in one at a time. Just look at it, the information will be there.
Our 5 guides have been tasked by the judges at figuring out who is what is who, and where they go in the bush.
It's either Franklin or guinea fowl, but because of the volume of other deposits in the area, we went with guinea fowl.
Detailing the surrounding that you need to look out for tracks. The details is very important.
You are cheeky. That was a brave decision. Amber Eyes is... Oh. That is so magic. That was absolutely wonderful. Amber Eyes just gave that cub an enormous hug.
Expect the unexpected here on WildEarth daily.
I love being a cam op for WildEarth. The animals coming right up close to you, especially like lions. Sometimes you get nervous, but you have to go with the flow. My favorite animal to film is the elephant because of how big it is. But when it's really up close to you, it's one animal that you would say, I really respect you.
Alright, so we've still got some very sleepy wild dogs here. They are moving a little bit in terms of just readjusting their position. So sometimes standing up and walking over to a different spot and then flopping down again to sleep. You can see the shade is already moving. Quite a few of them are now in the sun. And so I'm sure we're going to have a few more of them getting up and moving, just to reposition themselves back in the shade. Just like that. So that particular dog constantly has those canines showing, with the lip kind of stuck upwards. Kind of just sniffing around, picking up information. Very interested to see who the beta pair is in this pack. The ones that would take over dominance if anything happened to an alpha. You can see some scent marking there. And you can see how they're actually urinating in the same spots, kind of over each other. And that's very, very typical for wild dogs. It's all part of the normal scent marking. So that injury that other one has with the lip that's kind of stuck up, a very interesting injury. I've never seen a wild dog with an injury quite like that. She's just put her head down. And it's actually a whole chunk that looks like it's been bitten out of the lip. Very interested to know how that happened. So you can see straight away, as soon as that female laid down, the male came and lay next to her. So that would be quite a strong pair. It's always been quite fascinating to me how, wild dogs are very well known for being nomadic. They don't hold a particular territory. They'll move massive, massive distances as a pack. The only time that they really stick to an area is when they're denning. So it always kind of fascinated me how regardless of where they are, they're still scent marking, still advertising that that's where they are. And it would be part of the communication that they would have with other packs, just to know that there is a pack in the area at the time. But very interesting how they do that when they urinate over each other like they did just now, and multiple times in the same spot. Alright, so while these wild dogs sleep, I'm going to send you over to Amy to check up on her lions.
We are still here with these lions. Nothing has changed too much other than some impalas that have also come down to drink at the water, but these lions have just been watching curiously with no signs of actually making any moves just yet. You can just see how the white lioness and the one next to her have their heads up in that same position, just interested, curious of what's going on, but not showing really any intent, serious intent of doing any hunting this morning. Another lioness there. The white male not interested at all really. He had his head up for a while earlier, just looking and assessing the situation, and has decided that there's no real opportunity for him, and he's just going to put his head down and close his eyes. Oh, look at the white lioness. Just rubbing their heads together, doing some grooming. So important for lions to do that, not only for themselves but to each other as well. Just affirming those bonds between them. Well, we have had absolutely wonderful morning. I think we were spoilt with those elephants in the riverbed with that mother and baby. A few more came down to join them, and then we headed here and found these lions just resting on the riverbed. Possibly some potential action that may have happened, but wild dogs, lions, what a morning. And what's so great is that we get to do it all again this afternoon. So make sure that you join us again this afternoon, 2:30 Central African time. And we look forward to seeing you all then. Have a lovely rest of your morning. Goodbye.